tes plus brillants exploits. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Que l'on ouvre les portes, let the doors be open. Statements by members, déclaration de député, the honourable member for Halifax West.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
To return to our ridings and families, I rise to give thanks today to my children and all of my extended family, to my staff, Anthony, Connor, Chris, and Sam, and all my interns, and all who have worked to support me and the residents of Halifax West. Mes remerciements.
My thanks also to everyone who helps us on the Hill, Maxime in the private member's business office, our committee clerks, and all the analysts and interpreters.
And our pages, et mes collègues
and my colleagues, MPs and senators from all parties.
Working together in 2023, and especially as Bill S-246, a perfect complement to my own Bill C-268, respecting Lebanese Heritage Month, passes and proceeds to this place. I wish everyone the blessings of the season. Let us spread kindness, compassion, and love. Joyeux Noël and Happy New Year.
The honourable member for Edmonton West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to recognize two veterans from Edmonton, John Kennedy and Bruce Gibbon. John served for 2 decades with tours in Cyprus and Rwanda. After retiring, John helped found the Edmonton location of the Veterans Association Food Bank, serving as the assistant operations manager. Bruce served for 23 years in the forces, including tours in Croatia, Sarajevo, and Haiti. Due to health issues from his service, Bruce endured extreme hardships, but with the help of another veteran, he was able to find a new focus, a new purpose in life, assisting other veterans like himself. Bruce became the operations manager of the food bank. Together with other veterans, John and Bruce assist hundreds of veterans with food hampers and programs to help them cope with life in the civilian world. Now, it's shameful that here in Canada, veterans are relying on food banks to get by. So thank heaven for John Kennedy and Bruce Gibbon for always being there to help veterans.
Here, here. The honourable member for Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today concerning the recent by-election in Mississauga Lakeshore. First, I would like to thank the former MP Sven Spengeman for his 7 years of stellar service. This week, we elected his successor. To all the volunteers and all of the candidates, my sincere thank you for participating in this election and working so hard. It was a tough election for many reasons, not the least of which there was 40 names on the ballot. For those of you who are trying to mock our democracy, it won't work, and please don't do it again. Soon we will welcome Mr. Charles Sousa to this House, and this is the last time I will be able to ever say his name in this chamber. Going forward, he will be the honourable member from Mississauga Lakeshore. Charles brings a wealth of experience to this House. He will be a great addition. We look forward to working with him, and knowing Charles the way I do, you ain't seen nothing yet. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, as we get ready to leave Parliament to spend the holidays in our ridings, I'd like to take a few moments to celebrate selfless giving. This is the generosity we find among people who get involved in their community with the sole purpose of helping others and seeing smiles on their faces. And when we think of generosity, we think of Santa Claus, and I know a Santa Claus, a good and generous man who I'm extremely proud of, who got involved wherever he went, from the Lower St. Lawrence to the North Shore to the Eastern Townships, with a few detours in Alberta and Africa. My father is Santa Claus. Colleagues, I may be no gift, but my father is. Let's each in our own way, like my father, be generous every day and only wish well for others. Happy holidays to everyone. I love you, Dad.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Sherbrooke. Mr. Speaker, last Saturday I had the opportunity to take part in the Sherbrooke Firefighters Toy Drive. Since 1940, they've been distributing new toys every December to more than 1,200 underprivileged kids in the region, or around 800 families. I'd like to thank our firefighters for continuing this wonderful tradition. Over this holiday season, many Sherbrooke families are going through tough times. I'd like to thank all the organizations in our community that are providing a lifeline to our families, including those that provide food. And our government will continue to support our families and these organizations. I guess you could say 2022 has been a roller coaster ride. Many this holiday season will connect with loved ones and re-energize for the new year. Happy holidays and Happy New Year 2023 to all Sherbrooke residents. May 2023 bring you health and peace. Take good care of yourselves.
The Honourable Member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, it's an honor for me to stand in Canada's Parliament and congratulate Dr. Bituk Malik on being named one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women by the Women's Executive Network. Dr. Malik specializes in diagnostic radiology at Manitoba's Dauphin Regional Health Centre and has dedicated her professional career to helping those in her community and across Canada. She has worked to advance medical imaging, helped shape the evolution of stroke and trauma assessment, and mentored many medical professionals who hope to follow in her footsteps. The rural Canadians who proudly call the Parkland region their home are truly honored to have the world-class physician in their community. On behalf of all Canadians, I want to thank Dr. Malik for her contributions to her patients, to her community, and to medicine all across Canada. Congratulations on a well-deserved award.
L'honorable député de Yukon.
The Honourable Member for Yukon.
Strange things done in the midnight sun by the folks who moil for gold, but the Arctic trails and the winter tales will make you long for the cold. The northern lights are beautiful sights for anyone to see. For a night on the marge of Lake Labarge in the Yukon is the place to be. Now, whether you come from Calgary to kick sled or flirt in the snows, or leave home in the south to roam up on air north, God only knows. Embrace the cold, and the land of gold will hold you like a spell. And then you will say, in your homely way, that you have never lived so well. On a Christmas day, you can mush your way over the Dawson Trail, lose a toe on the way, that's okay. It can go in the next cocktail. Ring in the new year in Beaver Creek, Old Crow, or Watson Lake. Wherever you go, you will surely know many sights that will memories make. There are strange things done in a winter's night by all who would be bold. On Arctic trails amid moonlit spruce, you will ski, sled, or look out for moose. The northern lights are an incredible sight for all of you to see. Now I welcome you all to the land that I love. Happy holidays all from me.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Sudbury.
My community of
It's
Sudbury.
easy.
The mission provides 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, 365 days a year. Over the past year, the number of meals has grown by 1,000 per month. With 90,000 meals being served yearly, as well as clothing, showers, and laundry facilities, the mission is a necessity for our community. It is a safe refuge in times of need for the people of Sudbury. Throughout the month of December, businesses and organizations from the community will be helping to serve meals to clients, while raising important funds to ensure the mission is equipped for food and essentials throughout the year. Mr. Speaker, I want to highlight the important work being done by the Elgin Street Mission and the incredible team of volunteers. Without their dedication, the mission could not operate and support our community.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Shepherd.
I rise today to congratulate Véronique Brunel from Calgary Shepherd as the recipient of the 2022 Prime Minister's Award for Teaching Excellence in STEM. Véronique teaches at William Aberhart High School and has worked as a French immersion math teacher for grades 10, 11, and 12. Véronique is committed to innovation and her unique teaching style. It's not uncommon to see students writing on whiteboards, on the walls, and even on windows. Students are challenged, and she has worked hard to inspire and encourage her students in their university aspirations. Her encouragement has led to students joining the Wisest program at the University of Alberta that places high school young women in research labs, providing teens with an opportunity to work on campus in a science or engineering-related field. Congratulations again, Véronique. Your students, your teaching colleagues, and parliamentarians are proud of you. Félicitations, Véronique. Tes étudiants.
Congratulations, Véronique. Your students and your Member of Parliament are proud of you.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this Sunday will mark the first night of Hanukkah. In my riding of York Centre and homes across Canada and around the world, millions of Jewish families will light the Chanukiah and celebrate the Festival of Lights. The light of the Chanukiah is a symbol of peace and life. As we add candles each night, peace and hope grow stronger and brighter. It is always light that triumphs over darkness. This year we have lost one of those lights as we mourn the loss of our friend and colleague, Jim Carr. He was a model of kindness, compassion, and selflessness in this House and for all Canadians. Jim's advice was always given with a love of life and country, a twinkle in his eye, a laugh, and a smile. He was the eldest and wisest member of our Jewish and Jewish Muslim caucuses, and I can only hope that in the time we were privileged to share with him, a bit of that wisdom has passed on to us. His love and pride of his heritage and of the prairie and the communities that he was a part of were a source of strength for so many. As we prepare to celebrate Hanukkah, may Jim's family find strength and comfort from his light and the legacy he held in this House, in Winnipeg South Centre, and across Canada. May his memory be a blessing. Yehi zichro baruch.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Confederation.
Mr. Speaker, the building of coal plants in China and the war in Ukraine show Canada has a greater role to play in the global energy market. If we better supply the world with energy, oil, gas, and LNG, then dictators from oil-rich countries will not be able to fund their wars. If we better supply the world with our environmentally responsible energy products, then we can provide better alternatives to the resurgence of coal in China. If we better supply the world with our Canadian LNG, we can help make real progress on lowering emissions by providing a cleaner alternative to coal. If we better supply the world with Canadian energy, we create jobs in Canada. We can build better communities in Canada, and we can do our part for the environment and for social and for global security. We have the product, we have the people, we have the skills and knowledge. What we don't have is a government to champion Canadian energy.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Member for Battle River Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, the carbon tax is by Liberal design an inflationary mechanism to drive consumer change. It has the stated goal of making Canadians pay more. Not only does it add directly to the costs of Canadians' bills, but the carbon tax adds to the cost of every step of the supply chain. Take a loaf of bread, for example. You pay the carbon tax on the inputs to grow the grain, then again to harvest the grain. You pay it on transportation and then to heat and store the grain. Then pay for it on the equipment to process that wheat into flour, bake it into bread, transport it to the warehouse, and then to the store. Every step of the process adds costs that then Canadians have to pay for. And then it gets progressively worse as with planned tax hikes. With costs rising, record food bank usage, and the essentials becoming unaffordable. It's time that this out-of-touch Prime Minister and the left-leaning ideologues that keep him in power put their ideology aside and join with Conservatives to finally axe the carbon tax.
The Honourable Member for Mount Royal.
Mr. Speaker, 'tis the last sitting week before Christmas, and one thing unites the nation. We all heartily dislike the scourge of inflation. It's been quite the year. Whoever thought we would see our very own Prime Minister singing Bohemian Rhapsody? A different queen passed away, leading to great lamentation. But her death was quickly followed by Pierre's coronation. The previous leader moved on with barely a ripple, and now conservatives can unite behind triple, triple, triple. Pour Noël, le Bloc...
The Bloc's asking Santa for only one thing. They really don't want to take an oath to the king.
I joined the NDP as it wishes to change our laws, to get rid of the preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause. And as for the Greens, their leadership has created quite the fuss, because their very own Liz has lasted 1,000 times longer than Truss. With Hanukkah, Christmas, and festive times about to occur, I wish all my colleagues and Canadians a happy and healthy new year.
The honourable member for Algoma, Manitoulin, Kapuskasing.
Mr. Speaker, we have a duty to take bold action to address the climate crisis, build a strong economy, while creating a work environment that allows women to thrive and close the gender wage gap. By embracing just transition, we can create the green energy jobs of the future and attract more women into the skilled trades.
We can lift women and their families out of poverty, providing them with training and sustainable job opportunities currently not offered in our traditional natural resources sector. This work must start now. Just transition legislation should focus on delivering a credible plan for clean energy jobs, provide training programs for women in the industry, and create affordable childcare spaces that responds to the reality of shift work. Organizations such as the Alberta Federation of Labour have been clear that just transition legislation can no longer be delayed. Canadians know that we need to deal with climate change, and we must do all that we can to ensure that women are at the forefront of this new energy economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And
The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. If I understood correctly, Mr. Speaker, this will be our last sitting of 2022, and if you don't mind, some fresh air would do everyone some good. But meanwhile, not much has been settled. There's been a lot of theatrics, but not that much sincerity. I have the duty and the wish to tell people to take care of themselves. The healthcare system is no place to celebrate the holidays, and desperate people are crossing the border at Roxham Road. The French language is in jeopardy, and that's no gift to offer anyone. But if sleeping on it helps, let's take a few nights off. And I wish all my colleagues here in the House a very Merry Christmas. Yes, Christmas. And happy 2023. And the last word is for you and the staff of Parliament, from the kitchen to the pages, from security to you yourself. Your patience and your smiles remind us that we are there for the good of everyone. So to everyone and to Quebecers, happy holidays.
The honourable member for Lanark, Frontenac and Kingston.
'Tis just before Christmas, and 'tis both strange and true, that our home's Yule colours will be yellow and blue. That's not red, green, and white, so let me explain that our house is home to 6 guests from Ukraine. It was back in the spring that from Dnipro they flew, 2 parents, 3 children, and a babushka, too. Our hometown of Perth is a welcoming place. You'll fit in regardless of language or race. Our guests live in our house. They've helped deck the halls, the kids making snowmen and throwing snowballs. But when those 3 kids nestle snug in their beds, it's visions of home that must dance in their heads. And how does a mum focus on the right gift to buy when back home the missiles still drop each day from the sky? And then there's Dad, who deserves admiration. He must balance his duties to family and nation. For exiles, no Christmas can truly be mellow. So our Christmas this year will be blue and yellow.
The honourable member for Vaughan Woodbridge.
As the son of immigrants, it is embedded in us to seize every opportunity to work hard, give back to our communities, and continue building a better Canada that works for everyone. A simple teaching that has become a beacon for many and a reason for the residents of Mississauga Lakeshore to elect a new MP, my dear friend Charles Sousa. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we know that a prosperous future for all Canadians requires responsible leadership and targeted support. That is why we show up. Our Prime Minister was in Mississauga Lakeshore, unlike the Leader of the Opposition. Plain and simple, our government has been there for Canadians through every challenge by putting more money back in their pockets when they need it most. Our commitment is unwavering. This Christmas, families in Mississauga Lakeshore, Vaughan Woodbridge, and across the country will continue to receive direct support from the programs our government has put forward. Programs the people of Mississauga Lakeshore clearly support. To all Canadians, those residents in my wonderful riding of Vaughan Woodbridge, for a year, thank you, led by your generosity and compassion. Merry Christmas, Bon Natale, and Happy New Year.
Oral questions. Question orale. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to wish everyone happy holidays, happy Christmas. But for some, it will not be so happy because unfortunately the cost of a Christmas dinner has gone up by 20% since last year. A Mississauga food bank said that some are visiting the food bank not just for food, but to try to get medical assistance in dying because they cannot pay their bills. How can the Prime Minister justify that money is being wasted when people can't even eat? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to join in with my colleagues to wish everyone happy holidays, but we know that for many people, these holidays will be difficult. With the increase in the cost of living linked to global inflation, things are very hard. That's why we've been there to invest in families. We doubled the GST credit. We are helping to pay for kids' dental care for those who previously didn't have access. We're also offering help to low-income renters. And we are also cutting the costs of childcare in half. We will continue to be there for Canadians this year and in the future. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Working. We wish everyone a Merry Christmas, but it won't be merry for a lot of people. 1 in 5 Canadians are skipping meals. There's a 20% increase in the cost of a turkey dinner for the average family. And one Ontario Food Bank CEO said, clients are telling us they're considering medically assisted dying or suicide because they can't live in grinding poverty anymore. This is after 7 years of this Prime Minister. He can promise whatever he wants, but these are the results he's actually delivered. How does he justify the $4.6 billion of waste when people cannot afford to eat?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we know Canadians are facing difficult times, but we also know Canadians continue to step up for each other. But that's why this government has continued to move forward with direct supports for Canadians, whether it was doubling the GST credit for 6 months that gave hundreds of dollars more in the pockets of 11 million families, whether it was moving forward on rental supports and dental supports for low-income Canadians. These are things that the Conservative Party voted against, but we're delivering $1,300 over the next 2 years for families to help with bills on dental. We're delivering $500 on rental. We're going to continue to deliver for Canadians through this tough time.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What he has delivered is a 40-year high in inflation, the fastest rising interest rates in Canadian history. 1 in 5 Canadians not able to afford food. And what for? Well, according to the Auditor General, there's $28 billion of suspicious spending and another $4.6 billion of outright waste. Money that is driving up the inflationary crisis that Canadians are paying for right now. He gave checks to dead people and prisoners, Mr. Speaker. When will he recover the $4.6 billion of wasted money the Auditor General identified?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians will remember that when we hit the challenge of the pandemic, we needed to be there for each other, and this government made the decision to move quickly to support Canadians, to support families, to support workers, to support seniors, to support youth, to move forward on supporting small businesses, not only so people could get through the pandemic and the health crisis that it was, but also so we could weather the economic storm that came with it. And that's exactly what we did, seeing our economy come back faster than most of our fellow economies around the world. We're going to continue to support Canadians and make those investments that keep a better future.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Except the money went, according to the Auditor General, 1,500 prisoners got the money. Dead people got the money. $660 million of the money is under criminal investigation, and $4.6 billion was wasted altogether. Now, Mr. Speaker, the question was very simple. On what date will this Prime Minister and his government recover the $4.6 billion of waste identified by the Auditor General? The date.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians, like the Canadians in Mississauga Lakeshore, recognize the rhetoric from the Leader of the Opposition for what it is, proposing cuts in Canadian pensions, proposing cuts for EIs, proposing to do less for Canadians who need it. They voted against supports to make sure that families could send their kids to the dentist this year and next. These are the kinds of things that Conservatives continue to propose in their cuts and austerity approach on this side of the aisle. We'll continue to be there to support Canadians who need it, because that's who we are as Canadians. We support each other.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This from a Prime Minister who's deliberately driving up home heating bills this winter. Home heating bills are expected to double right across the country. 40% of Atlantic Canadians live in energy poverty. Rural Canadians in Northern Ontario forced to heat with oil will have to pay more as well. And now the Liberal NDP plan is to raise prices further by tripling the carbon tax. Will the Prime Minister tell us exactly how much his carbon tax will cost the average Canadian family in higher home heating bills this winter?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the carbon price in Atlantic Canada doesn't kick in until the spring, so it won't cost them any more this winter. If he had actually paid attention instead of sharing disinformation with Canadians, he would know that. The reality is we are delivering a price on pollution that not only makes sure we're protecting our future against climate change, but we're putting more money in the pockets of hardworking Canadians to support them through this transition. That's what our price on pollution does. That's what it will continue to do to support Canadians while we fight climate change.
L'honorable député de Belleuil.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, let's try to get into the holiday spirit. The Prime Minister received a generous invitation from the provincial premiers. A little bit like a family dinner. They might tell them about a sick aunt or uncle. They might tell him that it's expensive, and he might find the conversation boring, but he can't turn it down. Because in the holiday spirit, the Prime Minister should accept the invitation from Quebec and the provinces. Will he? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, in the history of our country, no Prime Minister has met with the provincial premiers regarding a health crisis as I have. I will continue to meet with them regularly. And I am looking forward to meeting with the Premier of Quebec in a couple of days to discuss Quebecers' concerns and to discuss how we will continue to work together. We know we need to improve our healthcare system, and the federal government will be there to support provinces while they make these improvements. We know that's important for families throughout the country. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, the Prime Minister seems to be mixing up a party and a one-on-one conversation. I'm sure he's too polite to make such a faux pas. There's a lot to be mentioned at this family dinner. There are cousins who are waiting on a stretcher in a corridor, an uncle who's waiting for a kidney transplant, someone's kid who has a respiratory virus, someone else who's facing a serious mental health crisis. The premiers want to talk about that at the family dinner. Does the Prime Minister really not want to meet them? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we know that Canadians need an improvement to our health system. Too many people don't have access to a GP. Too many people need to wait months or even years for a mental health appointment. And we know that people are still standing in line for extended periods of time. The federal government has invested $72 billion additional dollars in the health system over the years, and we will be there to invest more. But Quebecers and Canadians know that it takes more than money, it takes results, and that's what we're working on with the provinces.
Burnaby South.
We have a crisis in our healthcare system that is impacting children. Children are suffering. And the Prime Minister says that because of an impasse with the premiers, that he can't do anything. I want to remind the Prime Minister that he promised in the last election to hire 7,500 more nurses and doctors, a promise that if he kept, would absolutely help in dealing with this crisis. So my question is, did he mean what he said?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've all heard from across the country how Canadians need access to family doctors, how Canadians need access to better mental health services quicker, how Canadians need to see shortened wait times and an end to surgery backlogs. And that is exactly what we are committed to. We have been working with the provinces. Our health minister has been directly engaged with his counterparts over the past many months to ensure that as we invest more in healthcare across this country, we're delivering results and outcomes that Canadians can count on. That's what Canadians want. That's what we're going to be delivering.
Honourable member for Burnaby South.
When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises. Now, another promise, let me try again.
Order. Order. Okay, I know everybody is excited and Christmas is coming. And it's what, a week and a half, 2 weeks away? My Advent calendar says 2 days, but I think there's something went wrong there. But wait a minute, just calm down. Everybody take a deep breath. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South, from the top, please.
Absolutely. For the folks over here, when I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises. Absolutely. Now, let me try again. There's another promise that this Prime Minister made that would certainly help the crisis in our healthcare system. He promised a guaranteed...
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm having a... Order. 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 The Honourable Member for Burnaby South, please, from the top. We'll try it one more time.
Now we know that there's some people in this chamber that like the number 3. So when I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promise.
Hear, hear.
But let me try again. There's another promise the Prime Minister made that would certainly help in this healthcare crisis. He promised a guaranteed wage of at least $25 an hour for long-term care workers. Now, this would help free up spaces in the hospital so seniors could go into a long-term care home and get the proper respect and treatment that they need. Yes. Now, did the Prime Minister mean what he said, or was he hoping that a fight with the provinces would mean that he didn't have to deliver on this promise either?
Here, here, here. Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as we demonstrated through the depths of the pandemic, the federal government is going to step up and is going to continue to step up to support Canadians, to support these essential frontline workers who, while all of us take a little time away from our work with our families, with our communities, are going to be continuing to work long hours in hospitals, in senior care homes. We're going to continue to work with the provinces in terms of making sure that wages are raised for our frontline workers. The federal government will be there to do its part. We need to make sure we're recognizing those people who are heroes day in and day out to care for our most vulnerable.
Well, Leader of the Opposition.
Well, the Prime Minister sent out his Public Safety Minister today. We thought to back down on his hunting rifle ban. Instead, he just gave a rambly endorsement of the same policy and announced that his rural MPs from across the country, including rural Newfoundland, support the ban on hunting rifles. And the Prime Minister has tried to deny that he's banning those rifles, even though First Nations have said so, his experts have said so, his own caucus members have said so. So will he stand in the House today and really look us in the eye and tell us that there are no hunting rifles on his banned list?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we made a commitment a number of years ago to Canadians to ban assault-style weapons from this country. There's no place for guns designed to kill the largest number of people as quickly as possible in this country. And that is why we're moving forward with an amendment that ensures that assault-style weapons are banned not just in the past, not just in the present, but into the future. We're going to carefully work with hunters and farmers and caucus members and all parliamentarians from rural areas to ensure that we get that list right. But all Canadians want to see less gun violence in this country. That's what we're going to deliver.
Leader of the Opposition.
Only, Mr. Speaker, that's not what he's doing. He's banning firearms that in many cases are not even semi-automatic. These are firearms that have to be rechambered every single time. They are deliberately created for hunting and sustenance. The Assembly of First Nations has unanimously spoken against this ban on hunting rifles, as have numerous experts and now members of his own caucus. They all agree that his ban does not target weapons that are designed to kill people. It targets weapons that are for the legitimate Canadian tradition of hunting. So will he announce he's backing down from attacking our hunters today?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've heard clear concerns from First Nations, Métis, and Inuit partners. Our intent with this legislation is to target guns designed for the battlefield, not ones commonly used for hunting. As I've mentioned, the Minister of Public Safety is taking the time to get this right, and that means consulting with partners to make sure we're not capturing weapons we shouldn't be. Now, part of that process is showing up to meet with Indigenous leaders, something the Leader of the official opposition failed to do just last week when he had an opportunity to sit down with AFN chiefs.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I have been meeting with First Nations leaders from across the country, and they have been unanimous in their desire to protect their millennia-old tradition of hunting. That requires, in the modern sense, the use of hunting rifles. The Prime Minister's government has tabled 300 pages of banned hunting rifles before a Canadian parliamentary committee. He is wasting hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, targeting the legitimate tools, hunting tools of rural people and First Nations. Why doesn't he put that money into securing our borders and fighting crime instead?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The government that the Leader of the Opposition was part of before we took office in 2015 cut close to $1 billion from our borders and police services across the country. We, on the contrary, have been investing to restore that funding, even as we move forward close to $1 billion on keeping our communities safer. We also have invested massively in our border protection to ensure, for example, that last year we were able to collect double the amount of illegal firearms trying to cross our borders as the year before. We will continue to protect our borders. We will continue to protect Canadians. We will continue to move on gun control.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
There's no question that his policies are more expensive than our policies, but they have delivered poorer results. Today, violent crime is 32% higher than when he took office. That includes a massive increase in gang violence. The head of the Toronto Police Force says 82% of the firearms that are used in crime in Canada's biggest city come smuggled in from the United States of America. They are not brought here by hunters from Cape Breton or rural Alberta. So once and for all, will the Prime Minister stop wasting money on hunters and go after the real criminals instead?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the last Conservative government, of which their leader was a key part, slashed nearly $1 billion from our police and our borders. We're building back that capacity. We've invested nearly $1 billion to end gun violence and keep guns out of the hands of criminals since 2018 alone, including another $137 million for the CBSA in the fall economic statement to fight gun smuggling and trafficking, and it's working, Mr. Speaker. We doubled the number of guns interdicted at the border last year as compared to the year before.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Again, they're going after the innocent people rather than the real problem. Moving on to the heroes that protect our country and go to Veterans Affairs to get the services to which they are entitled. This government is now racking up an embarrassing and shameful record of having recommended medical assistance in dying. At least a half a dozen veterans now report that they have been advised that medical assistance in dying might be the best solution for them. Can the Prime Minister, having had time now, tell us exactly how many veterans have been recommended that their lives come to an end?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
This is absolutely unacceptable, and Veterans Affairs Canada is taking serious measures to ensure not only that this never happens again, but that any Veterans Affairs officers who have been making those recommendations irresponsibly and on their own no longer are in a position to make that. But I will highlight, Mr. Speaker, that we've invested over $10 billion in support for our veterans after 10 years of the previous Conservative government nickel and diming them and using them for photo ops. We will support our veterans as we've continued to do and respect the work that they've done.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This is from the Prime Minister who said that veterans are asking for more than he can give. This from the Prime Minister. Is this a first Prime Minister who's ever presided over a Veterans Affairs Department that recommends that the heroes who served our country should get medical assistance in dying instead of being given a good life, the one that they have earned? One former soldier, current veteran, actually said the policy is triple D: delay, deny, and dead veterans. Mr. Speaker, the question is very specific. How many veterans have been given the recommendation that they should go to medical assistance in dying? The number, please.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Number one would be too many, and that is why we condemn in the strongest terms anyone who has recommended that to our veterans. Our veterans lived a life of service and deserve the utmost quality of care from our governments. That is why we invested $10 billion after the previous government chose to shutter Veterans Affairs offices across the country and nickel and dime them every chance that they could get. We respect our veterans, which is why we're taking so seriously the reports that this unacceptable behavior happened within Veterans Affairs. Our veterans deserve the very best, and that's what we'll continue to give them.
The Honourable Member for Longueuil Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the member for Westmount said about Bill C-13 and the French language, he said it would be a real mistake for us as federal MPs to give Quebec free rein to do whatever it wants about language in Quebec. Mr. Speaker, he's openly saying that we need to stop Quebec from protecting French. And indeed, the effect of C-13 is to prevent Quebec from imposing the charter of the French language in federally regulated businesses. Why is the Prime Minister protecting English in Quebec when it's French that is actually threatened? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are the first federal government to recognize that we have a responsibility to protect French throughout Canada, including in Quebec. Protecting French throughout Canada is one of our responsibilities, and that is why we are bringing forward measures in C-13 that will ensure that federally regulated businesses, not only in Quebec, but throughout the country, promote the use of French. because that's a way of ensuring that we remain a country where French is proudly spoken throughout. The Honourable Member for Longueuil-Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker, let's review what happened. First of all, Quebec tabled Bill 96 to impose the Charter of the French language on federally regulated businesses, and then just suddenly, as though by chance, the federal government decided to quickly table an official language reform, Bill C-13. No, it's not by chance. If we listen to what Liberals were saying at committee yesterday, C-13 is a reaction which aims to prevent Quebec from making French the only language in the workplace. Why does the Prime Minister refuse to accept a Quebec where everyone works in the only common language of Quebec, French? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, for many years we have recognized that one of the federal government's responsibilities is to participate in protecting the French language in Quebec. Yes, the Quebec government also has a role to play, but the federal government as well. We will always respect provincial jurisdiction. That's why, when it comes to federally regulated businesses under federal jurisdiction, we will ensure that we respect the principle of French spoken in Quebec and also in other communities where French is spoken throughout the country. That's a way of protecting French throughout the country, and we're proud of it.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Our hospitals are overflowing. Children's hospitals being the worst case. I've seen it myself, taking my daughter to an emergency room, waiting with other small kids while there's a shortage. But ironically, we have the doctors. In fact, we bring in thousands of immigrant doctors to this country every single year, but only 41% of them are able to practice in this country. Only 36% of immigrant nurses have the license to practice. The federal government could encourage provinces to speed up recognition of foreign credentials, as we successfully did under the previous government. Mr. Speaker, why has this Prime Minister failed so miserably at doing so?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to encouraging the provinces to make improvements in healthcare, we're doing more than just encouraging them. We're saying that we will flow significantly more money to the healthcare systems across the country if they can ensure better results for Canadians, if they can ensure better outcomes, if they can ensure that Health Human Resources take advantage of the thousands of people who come from around the world wanting to work and build a better life in this country, including in our medical system. Mr. Speaker, we are serious about improving results for Canadians from healthcare systems across the country, and that's what we're standing firm on with the provinces.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He's had 7 years to get results, and he's gotten none. Now, all he can do is brag about how much money he spends without actually achieving real outcomes. Meanwhile, immigrants are forced to work in low-wage jobs, even though they are qualified to serve as doctors and nurses in high-paid positions in desperately needed places within our medical system. Less than half of nurses and doctors from abroad actually get a chance to work. The Prime Minister could make it possible by facilitating future immigrants preparing for credentialing before they even get here, providing small study loans for them to get them, and to get the province to speed up the recognition of credentials. Why won't he?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to getting provinces to speed up the recognition of credentials, I will highlight that it is an NDP government in British Columbia that has just taken significant measures to do that. And if the member opposite thinks he can convince his fellow Conservatives who happen to be premiers of provinces to accelerate those processes, it would be a welcome change from the kind of obstructionism and two-tier health care that the Conservatives continue to push. We're going to continue to stand with Canadians to ensure that we're improving and increasing opportunities for Canadians to get good health care and opportunities for new arrivals to work in the industries in which they are trained.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, there are now reports of Beijing-controlled police stations on Canadian soil. This, of course, would be a violation of international law. It is illegal for a foreign government to open a law enforcement office in another country without permission. And the last we checked, there is no permission for that to happen. So the question of the Prime Minister is very simple. How many diplomats from Beijing involved in these police stations has he ordered expelled from Canada? How many?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Foreign actors attempting to monitor, intimidate, or threaten Canadians, is completely unacceptable. The allegations detailed are concerning, which is why we will never tolerate threats to Canada's national security or to the safety of our citizens and residents. The RCMP have announced that they are investigating these allegations, and I've asked officials to examine them very, very carefully. We will continue to work closely with our allies around the world to respond to illegal and unacceptable behavior by authoritarian states like China.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
La question était combien?
The question was how many. There are reports of police stations here in Canada working for a foreign state. That's illegal. It's not legal for a foreign government to have police stations here in Canada. The Prime Minister has been aware of this situation for at least a month. At least. Once again, the question, how many diplomats have been expelled from Canada since the Prime Minister learned of the existence of these stations? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the details of these allegations of interference are concerning. We will never tolerate Canada's national security being threatened or the security of our residents and citizens. The RCMP has announced that it will be carrying out an investigation on these allegations. And I am asking those responsible to follow up.
Chinese-Canadian community is all too often the victim of foreign interference by China, and we need to emphasize that Chinese-Canadians continue to deliver extraordinary benefits to Canadians as proud Canadian citizens, and we will continue to stand with this community that is victims of interference rather than perpetrators as.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
On est dans une crise.
We are in a healthcare crisis right now, a pediatric healthcare crisis, and the Prime Minister promised $3.2 billion to hire 7,500 new doctors and nurses. That was a promise that he could keep and which would fix the crisis. So where is that money? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have made commitments to ensure that Canadians have access to family doctors, and we will keep those commitments. We have money to invest in healthcare systems across the country, but we need for the provinces to make commitments and for the provinces to show that they are going to deliver the results that Canadians are waiting for. It's been too long now that people have been waiting too long in emergency rooms, that they're waiting for care, that they're waiting to just get access to a family doctor. We need to see results, and that is why that we are here with the money when there will be results ready. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Le Premier Ministre.
The Prime Minister is running away from his responsibilities and from his promises. Here's another promise. The Prime Minister promised $4.5 billion to establish a Canadian mental health transfer. So once again, it's a simple question. Where's the money? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I am very happy that my colleague from the NDP is highlighting that yes, we are ready to make these investments in the healthcare system, but Canadians know very well that we can't just write a blank check to the provinces. We need to see results. We need to see improvements in services for Canadians, for families, for people who need it. And that's why we are currently working with the health ministers from across the country to make sure that real results will be delivered for Canadian families. The Honourable Member for London West.
Speaker, my constituents in London West and all Canadians have been through a lot this year. Whether it was from the pandemic to global inflation, from devastating effects of climate change to growing uncertainty on the world stage, Canadians are looking for their government for both stability and solution. So as we approach this holiday season, can the Prime Minister inform the steps that the government is taking to ensure that we have an economy that works for everyone in Canada? Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for London West for her question and her hard work on behalf of her constituents. I know that she will be pleased to welcome another strong advocate to the Ontario caucus in the newly elected Liberal member for Mississauga Lakeshore. Together, this government will continue to deliver results by putting more money back back in the pockets of Canadians who need it most. People in Mississauga and across Canada reject the Conservative leader's reckless proposal to opt out of inflation with cryptocurrencies and are instead opting into the government's plan to make life more affordable, to make our communities safer, and protect our environment.
The honourable member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington.
We have warned Canadians about the government's medical assistance in dying legislation. Bottom line, Mr. Speaker, literally life or death legislation deserves thorough review. Mr. Speaker, we must ensure vulnerable people are protected. It is very disappointing to see that this Liberal government is offering state-sanctioned suicide to our military heroes instead of providing them with the care that they need. This is so wrong on so many levels. Mr. Speaker, will this Prime Minister please press pause on this deeply flawed legislation?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Medical assistance in dying is a deeply personal and complex choice that touches people and their families at an extremely difficult time in their lives. Since day one, our focus has been on creating a framework that has strong safeguards, that protects the most vulnerable, and remains compassionate. We will continue to make that our focus at every step, and we'll continue to work closely with provinces, territories, medical experts, and indeed all parliamentarians as we move forward on this process.
The honourable member for Chilliwack Hope.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the safeguards simply aren't working. In too many cases, vulnerable Canadians, including injured veterans and persons with disabilities, are being offered assisted suicide instead of the supports that they want and need from the system. The heads of psychiatry at all of Canada's 17 medical schools have called for a delay to the Liberals' deeply flawed MAID legislation that will expand eligibility to those with mental disorders in March of next year. So will the Prime Minister finally listen to the experts, finally listen to vulnerable Canadians, and press pause on this deeply flawed MAID expansion?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the safety and security of our most vulnerable must remain at the forefront of our considerations. We need to be careful and thoughtful in our approach at every step. That's why we're continuing to work with experts, including those at the front lines and those with lived experience, working with all parliamentarians, working with provinces and territories to ensure that there is a strong framework in place.
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, in 2015, a Toronto man shot and killed his friend. He spent only 5 years in jail. Then he was charged in 2021 with another shooting, and while out on bail for that, he has now been charged for running a massive gun smuggling ring of the very guns that are being used by criminals like him to terrorize people in Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver and Winnipeg. This is what's going on in our cities, Mr. Speaker. Clearly gangs are the problem, so why is the Prime Minister going after hunters?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, after the previous Conservative government cut about $1 billion from law enforcement and border agencies, we've stepped up on ensuring that our enforcement agencies have the tools they need. We've also invested massively in community safety programs, in support for young people, and yes, moving forward on gun control to make sure there's a freeze on the market for handguns and that we're banning assault-style weapons. This is something we're going to continue to work on. We will continue to work with law-abiding hunters and fishers to ensure that the right guns are banned, but we make sure that we are doing the right thing for all Canadians.
The honourable member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the leader of the Bloc Québécois are completely disconnected from the reality when it comes to keeping Quebecers safe. They, together, are targeting the people who respect laws while allowing criminals to wander freely in our communities. With the support of the Bloc, the passage of Bill C-5 this week allowed a criminal to avoid prison despite the fact that he had been arrested with 2 loaded handguns. Bill C-21, which is also supported by the Bloc, is also attacking Quebecers and hunters. Why are these leaders so disconnected? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, what we're seeing right now and what we've seen in recent years is that step by step, the so-called anti-crime bills moved forward by the previous Conservative government have been taken out of the criminal code, have been struck down by the courts because they didn't work. Now, obviously, a law that can't hold up in court isn't going to work to protect people. And that's why we are moving forward, respecting our justice system, respecting our judges, and by making sure that we are truly protecting Canadians with laws that'll hold up. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, Roxham Road is breaking records. By the end of the year, 40,000 asylum seekers will have probably gone through. That's why Quebec's Minister of Immigration, Christine Fréchette, is asking the federal government to pay to support asylum seekers while they are learning French. It's a good idea. It's as compassionate as it is productive, and it will help support them during the months where they're waiting for a work permit from Ottawa. Since the Prime Minister is responsible for Roxham Road, will he pay to help asylum seekers learn French while they're waiting to be able to work? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, since the beginning of this situation, we have been there to invest and to work in partnership to help Quebec continue to be generous, as Quebecers have always been, and to help welcome asylum seekers. We recognize that this is a heavy burden for the government of Quebec, so we are there to support them. When it comes to learning French, I want to note that we're sending over $700 million a year to the government of Quebec for French language programs, and we will continue to be there to make sure that in Quebec we continue to protect the French language. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister says that he wants to see Quebec welcome 112,000 new arrivals every year, that's 112,000 plus the 40,000 who come in from Roxham Road. So while he's asking Quebec to welcome 152,000 new people each year, are there more investments in French language? Well, no. Will there be increases in healthcare? No. In a housing crisis, is there new money to help deal with the rising population? Once again, no. Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister know that immigration is real people, not just a number that's plucked out of thin air? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I've just said, every year we send over $700 million to the government of Quebec for programs to promote learning the French language. And if they need more, they just have to ask. Because we believe in protecting the French language. We believe in French language learning for new immigrants, and we want to help. Mr. Speaker, what I've said and what I'll continue to say is that Quebec can set its own levels of immigration. If they want more immigrants, they can certainly welcome more, and we will be there to work with them to make sure that we meet the labor shortage.
Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
Another day, another Liberal minister found guilty of breaking ethics laws. This time it's the International Trade Minister who, through a shady deal, gave tens of thousands of dollars to her BFF, CBC pundit Amanda Alvaro. The history with this pair goes back to when they worked for the corrupt Ontario McGuinty Liberals. Now, old habits might die hard for these two, but Canadians deserve better. Is the reason that this Prime Minister won't fire his minister because he'd be holding her to a higher standard than he holds himself?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Obviously, we respect the work of the Commissioner and the work that the office does. The Minister has taken full responsibility and apologized.
For Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
Full responsibility isn't a forced apology and crocodile tears. It is a resignation, and that's what Canadians expect from members of the King's Privy Council. It was fine for Art Eggleton when he gave tens of thousands of dollars to an old girlfriend. He knew that he had to resign. What we don't know is why there's a different set of rules for this Prime Minister and for this minister. So will this Prime Minister finally do the right thing, show Canadians that there are actions that they need to be held accountable for, and fire this minister today?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the Minister has taken full responsibility and apologized.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Well, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are never short of scandals, are they? The We Charity and the SNC-Lavalin scandal, among others, obviously. The most recent ethics violation is from the Minister of International Trade, who gave 2 contracts to her very close friend, Amanda Alvaro. Apologies are not enough when we know that Canadians are suffering from inflation, and the Liberals, at the same time, are making their friends richer on the backs of taxpayers. So it's pretty simple. The minister must resign. Will she resign herself, or is the Prime Minister going to have to make sure she resigns. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we respect the work done by the Commissioner and the work of his office. The Minister has taken full responsibility and apologized.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Madawaska-Restigouche. Mr. Speaker, since the launch of our detailed emissions reduction plan for 2030 with COP27 in Egypt and the organization of COP15 in Montreal, our government continues to work hard when it comes to fighting climate change. Can the Prime Minister please inform this House of the progress that Canada is making in fighting climate change? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague from Madawaska-Restigouche for his question and for his hard work in his riding. We're taking concrete measures to deal with the double crisis of the loss of biodiversity and climate change. This year, we launched the first national adaptation strategy for Canada. We've announced with 38 other countries that we will be ending by the end of the year all new support to the international fossil fuel sector without work being done to reduce emissions. We will continue to take ambitious measures to build a healthier future for all.
Member for Foothills.
The Liberals have found the solution to record-high food inflation. Wipe the stats away from existence. We have record-high inflation, 40-year high. Food prices are up 11%, and more than half of Canadian families are worried about their ability to put food on the table. The Liberal solution? Erase more than 25 years of historical food inflation data from the StatsCan website. So for a Liberal government that pretends to make decisions based on science and data, the Liberal government has erased 25 years of vital inflation information from the website. Why?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons on data from the former Conservative government that tried to cancel the long-form census because they didn't want decisions to be based on facts and data. Mr. Speaker, we will follow up. These are troubling allegations. We will ensure that data remains accessible to Canadians every step of the way. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are facing tough times right now, but the times would be even tougher if they'd followed the advice of the leader of the official opposition when he said to opt out of inflation, buy cryptocurrencies. They would have lost half their life savings. That's not responsible leadership, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
They're not allegations. The Liberals are covering up their inflation record by erasing 25 years of vital food inflation data from the StatsCan website. The Prime Minister cannot hide from those facts. The facts are tripling the carbon tax will cost a typical Canadian farmer $150,000 a year. The facts are researchers already said eliminating this data is making their research harder, and they no longer believe or trust the numbers coming from the Liberal government. Those are the facts. The Prime Minister can't hide from them. Why is he trying to cover up his inflation record by eliminating data from the StatsCan website?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, obviously these are concerning allegations and we will be following up on them because we are the government that restored long-form census. We are the government that bases policy on data and evidence, and we will continue to. But talking about evidence and facts, Mr. Speaker, it's important for Conservatives to stop misleading Canadians.
I'm sorry, but I mean, the odd cackle coming out or the odd heckle coming out is one thing, but when you're trying to drown someone out, that's really not polite and it's not parliamentary. If I can ask the Right Honourable Prime Minister, start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, obviously these allegations are concerning and we will be following up on them. But, Mr. Speaker, from the Conservative Party that continually waged war on facts when it was in government by eliminating the long-form census and not being transparent with Canadians, to continuing to try and mislead Canadians on the price on pollution that actually puts more money back in the pockets of hardworking Canadians every single year, actually 4 times a year now, because it's a way of both fighting climate change and protecting families' balance books. These are important things to continue to do.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, we learned today that the Prime Minister is sharing power with the NDP. And it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Whichever leader that the costly coalition chooses, the results are going to be the same. billions of dollars in inflationary spending on the backs of Canadians who've never paid so much for their Christmas dinner, the worst inflation in 40 years. And so, Mr. Speaker, in 2023, who is going to be leading this costly coalition? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, when the Conservatives complain that we are investing too much money to help Canadians, we understand that they are once again promoting austerity. Mr. Speaker, we are delivering $1,300 over the next 2 years for families who couldn't pay to send their kids to see the dentist. The Conservatives voted against that measure. $1,300 in the pockets of Canadian families who need it. And, you know, we've already seen tens of thousands of families take advantage of this program because it helps them. It helps them improve the health of their children, and it helps with spending. We are there to help Canadians.
Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Mr. Speaker, in my riding of West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country, many have long struggled with the high cost of housing. More recently, this is extended to the high cost for those that are renting. And that's why it's so important that our government introduced a top-up payment to the Canada Housing Benefit of $500, which passed in the House last month. Can the Prime Minister please tell us about when folks can expect to receive this benefit?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague from West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country for his question and his hard work for his constituents. We know that higher rental costs are impacting so many Canadians across the country. That's why we brought in a $500 top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit, which will help almost 2 million Canadians who need it most. Just recently, I had the pleasure to announce that applications for the payment are now open, and I encourage those eligible to apply. Our government will always have the backs of Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday family members and Indigenous leaders wrote an urgent request to ministers. They are asking this government to provide resources for searches of the Prairie Green and Brady landfills to find the remains of loved ones, and to invite the UN Special Rapporteur on the rights of Indigenous peoples to oversee the searches after the Winnipeg City Police said Indigenous peoples are on their own. The Prime Minister admitted the crisis of murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people was a genocide. Will he respond to these demands and make federal resources available now?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians' hearts are breaking for the terrible news coming out of Winnipeg on more missing and murdered Indigenous women. This is absolutely unacceptable. We have received the letters from the families. We see the level of pain, and the federal government will look to do whatever we can to support the province, the city, and whoever needs support in terms of giving closure and justice for these families.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, in the last election, the Liberals promised a new $4.5 billion mental health transfer to the provinces. To date, they haven't funded a single cent of it. Mental health advocates across the country are calling for these funds. In my community alone, almost 4,000 people are waiting for mental health and addictions care right now. Will the PM follow through on his election promise and fund the mental health transfer in Budget 2023?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we made the commitment to funding mental health supports across the country because we saw and heard clearly from Canadians that more needs to be done, that they need to have better access to mental health supports, whether they're students, whether they're seniors, whether they're working Canadians, whether it's farmers who are facing real challenges. We know that being there for Canadians is essential. That's why we're working with the provinces to make sure they're delivering those mental health resources. And yes, we will be there with funding, and we need to see results and better outcomes for Canadians.
Hear, hear. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for question period today. C'est tout le temps que nous avons. Conformément. Okay, the Honourable Government House Leader is rising on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, there have been discussions among the parties, and I believe if you seek it, you will find unanimous consent to adopt the following motion. That notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice of the House, following the completion of today's routine proceedings, a member from each recognized party and a member from the Green Party may make a brief statement regarding the end of the sitting, and B, Mr. Speaker, After the statements, the House shall stand adjourned until Monday, January 30th, 2023, provided that for the purpose of any standing order, it shall be deemed to have been adjourned pursuant to Standing Order 28 and be deemed to have sat on Thursday, December 15th and Friday, December 16th, 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay. Agreed? The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. Carried. Pursuant to order made on Tuesday, December 13, 2022, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion to concur in the second report of the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development. Convoquez les députés.
Call in the members.
Thank you.
The question is as follows.
Mr. Genuis, seconded by Mr. Scheer, move that the second report of the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development, presented on Tuesday, May 10th, 2022, be concurred in. La période.
The 10-minute period for members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person.
All those in favour of the motion will please rise.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Bazan.
Mr. Hallan.
Mr. Hallan.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Strahl.
Mr. Strahl.
Ms. Dancho.
Ms. Dancho.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Barlow.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Richards.
Mr.